My father, Joe Healey, was, he was my father, first of all, and a father of 7 children. And what I didn't really come to understand or know until after he had died was he was kind of a father and a leader to many children.
My father was very involved in all sports. All sports all of our children were involved in. He was somehow involved in whether he was coaching, managing, or just being around all the time. But the passion of his life obviously was baseball, and especially American Legion baseball.
From the post level where he was the commander, I believe in the 60s at some point, but his passion was always the baseball. I don't know the exact years, but I know he kind of founded the Legion League in Lackawanna County, I think sometime in the 50s. He was always the director of it up until, I don't know the years, but I know into the 2000s.
Having started the post-948 baseball team in South Scranton, that was kind of like his little baby. I mean, that was the first thing he had that he started, and it just became very important to him. And he wanted to make sure it was done correctly and done fairly.
And as my brothers and I got older, he got involved at Connell Park in the Little League. He coached from the time my brother Pat was in Farm League, so it was probably a course of 20, 25 years, just the coaching of that alone.
He was also involved with it was the ACBL. I don't know if that's still around, the Atlantic Collegiate Baseball League. It was kind of the Atlantic region version of the Cape Cod League. It went into the summer and they would recruit college players to play, and that team was the Scranton Red Sox. He was involved with them for a number of years.
For the most part, he ran this half of the state. Previously, he had been president of the league, he had been a regional director, and then, of course, business manager at a post-948. Whenever there was any kind of a problem, it never failed. I'd go down and then I'd sit in the chair and I'd tell him my problem, and he would have the answer. And if he didn't have the answer, he had a plan on how to solve the problem anyway.
Any problem was just, hey, they had to go to him. Anything that was done was cleared through him. Even the state people were coming to him like, hey, Joe, we need this done, we need that done.
Anytime any organization needed help as far as someone to balance their books or someone to count their money or someone to oversee their money, he was the first person that was called. He really was someone that people looked upon and could trust and knew they could trust him, especially when it came to money.
The thing I remember the most is how frugal he was. When I first took over the Legion program for him, he was still the business manager, but I was running the team, and we had wool uniforms from the 60s, and this was in, 80s. I had to get together a group to go out and raise funds so we could get new uniforms because they weren't coming out of the treasury, although there was quite a treasury there.
Our joke is he probably only ever bought 1 box of balls. He wasn't one to spend money and to waste money, so...
We'd get paid to watch the games. We would get paid $1 a game to chase foul balls, so we would have to run around and try to retrieve the balls.
Well, they would bring the balls home in a case, and my mother and we would scrub all the balls clean for the next game so that we weren't wasting balls.
So Joe was always a behind-the-scenes guy. He wasn't looking for any recognition. He just always made things run correctly. He was very big on following rules. He knew the rules. He could quote rules. And I think that his big impact was that he had a good set of rules, and he made the league and the leagues and the region follow those rules, which made everything run well.
And that impact is still being felt today and still being honored, where there are still people that go out of their way to recognize him. They name awards after him. They name championships after him, things like that. If you knew my father, that would be the last thing he would have wanted to have done, because he didn't do anything for recognition. He did it so he could help other people. He didn't care to have his name in the paper or to be recognized, but it's nice to see him recognized, even if it's after his death. But it's nice to see him get recognized and maybe get some of the honor that he should have gotten earlier.
I would meet people and they would say, "Where are you from?" And I'd say Southside, and they'd start naming people from Southside, and then I would say, I'm a Healey. And instantly they'd either say, "Is Joe Healey your father?" or "Is Pat Healey or Joe Healey your sibling?" And you'd be surprised how many stories ended up getting back to, oh, well, I remember your father, and this is what he did for me.